So after a solid first season, the stage was set. Expectations were that while United weren't going to be challenging for titles, especially against the Lance Armstrong of the footballing world,
you're so funny.
we'd make a decent show of ourselves, both domestically and in Europe. But unfortunately, that was far from what actually happened. In Europe, our return to the Champions League was absolutely shambolic. In the Prem, we had our worst ever finish. And now we've only got the FA Cup that could possibly salvage this season. In the video, I'm going to go through the bad of what's happened, specifically with Ten Hag, but then also talk about what could potentially save his future at United as well. Because it's not all bad. As always, guys, drop a like if you enjoy the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and let me know down in the comments, what are you? Do you want to keep Ten Hag, or do you want to start afresh going into next season now? Let me know down below, and let's get into it, guys.
Okay, let's go.
I wanted to do this video before the FA Cup because I do believe in that old quote from Ole that the league is your true barometer of your performance throughout the season, and a cup run, while yes, it's obviously brilliant, and this year it has been. The wild FA Cup run, which has included obviously ruining Klopp's farewell, is obviously brilliant, but it doesn't really show the full picture. In the league, United have been truly abysmal, and our performances have led us to deserve that 8th place and our worst ever Premier League finish.
Brother, what's that?
Specifically in view of Ten Hag's tactics this season, the way he set up this team has been a disaster. You've got the stubbornness to stick to that overly direct style, the man marking in midfield which is leaving huge gaps in front of our defence, the failed press largely leading to the basketball style games, and throughout the campaign now I've talked about these issues till I'm absolutely blue in the face. But absolutely nothing has changed. It was the intent from Ten Hag from the get-go. And this season, it just hasn't worked and he's been stubborn with it. The Mount signing made sense for this style of play, but obviously injuries have wrecked his campaign. But the Onana one in hindsight just makes zero sense. His best attribute is his passing, and we thought once we got rid of De Gea, a lot of our build-up issues would be long gone. But we couldn't be further from the truth. We are still yet to see a proper, reliable build-out from the back method under Ten Hag this season, and seeing Onana with these type of pass maps against the lowly Premier League teams is an absolute crime against football.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would...
Even in recent games where things did get slightly better, United still looked far from comfortable in the wins over Newcastle and Brighton. The same tactical intent was there, really. Yes, we made a couple of little tinkerings, obviously having Amrabat in there. It did help us to add a little bit of solidity up against Arsenal, but in attack, we were numb. There was just no doubt about it. And then in those games against Newcastle and Brighton, obviously, yes, we won, it's great. But we still looked far from comfortable, and we still conceded a lot of shots on our goal, and we're relying on Onana for big parts of it. So, really, it still goes to show overall throughout the course of this season, things just haven't been good for United. Expected points has us the 6th worst team in the league, and we can hide from that and make excuses as much as we possibly want to. And Ten Hag kind of does do that recently. But the truth is that it shows the setup of this team has been shady throughout, and it's the players that's been propping it up. Safe to say it's far from what we were expecting from Ten Hag. When he arrived from Ajax, we were expecting that same style. That fantastic spell that he had there, that's the reason United brought him in. So if he can't implement that style at United, then what was the point in getting him in the first place? Now I know exactly what people are going to be saying. What about the injuries? Well, for me, you can't purely blame the injuries for this style of play. Obviously, you do cut Ten Hag some slack, yes. But the intent to play this way has been there throughout the course of the season now, for 40 plus games. Even with our best 11, obviously we haven't had it very often, but we still played in exactly the same way. It was slightly better with our better players, of course it was. But the issue I have with it is, I just don't see this style of play really working and winning United titles, no matter who the personnel you've got out there on the pitch. I just think it's a little bit flawed. You see the best teams in the league, you're compact without the ball, and then with the ball then you're comfortable and keeping it for large periods. But United have been the opposite of that this season. And that frantic end-to-end style, I do think, obviously while it's not the major contributor, I do think it's been contributing to that injury problem the United have had. If you're able to keep the ball and pass it around the opposition, get them running around, then you're going to tire them out. But it's been the opposite. United have been the tired ones, and you've seen that throughout the course of this season. And if Ten Hag is going to continue working under the new Ineos structure, then surely the aim is to move towards that setup where you get a bit more control of matches. It's frustrating now because we saw Ten Hag implement that at Ajax, and it seemingly hasn't even tried that at United, and that's going to be the main problem for me. We've spent £400 million now, and we're still left wondering, what is the actual plan? What's the intent of this United setup right now? So if Ten Hag is going to continue, then he's going to need to align with Wilcox and co. on what the plan is for the coming seasons now, and agree on a proper style of play. For me, he's got to have some of the privileges revoked a little bit. Obviously, we know that Ten Hag has had a major say on the transfers. It was one of the big things that he wanted when he came to United. But I just simply don't think that can continue now. It doesn't make sense. We've seen that his talent ID is maybe not the best, and I don't think your manager should have too much of a say on that anyway. It doesn't happen at other top clubs. Like, we're talking about him as well, that he obviously has other privileges. He's seemingly in charge of set pieces now, and he's seemingly in charge of little bits of the fitness side of things as well. You're getting those little bits of stories coming out, and I just think there's too much for a single person to be in control of. I think Ten Hag, if he's going to continue, you take some of those away from him, and you allow him then just to focus on the football. And after all, this season hasn't been all doom and gloom. Ten Hag has managed to introduce a lot of youth into this setup. We've seen Garnacho make his way into a first-team starter now. We've seen Minor do the same for the majority of the season as well when he came back from injury. And now in recent weeks, we're finally starting to see Ahmad get a decent run of games in this team as well. And then Onana and Højlund as well. Them two having very solid first seasons at United. It goes to show that not all of United's transfers are going to be flops. And then, most importantly of all, despite what certain fans try to say,
what I'm saying is, that team is not a team.
These players have knocked down tools on this manager, and that is in credit to Ten Hag massively. If it was the other way around and we've seen sort of similar to what we saw under the likes of Mourinho, then I do think Ten Hag would be in major, major trouble. A lot more than what he is. But the reason he's got this far this season is because these players have backed him. I've said the energy has been there, and he needs that now if he's going to continue as United manager. Overall with it, I'm just absolutely baffled. This season tactically is just far from what I was hoping for, but I just can't help but think that Ten Hag is not that bad of a coach. Like, surely now with the backing of the players, with the backing of the new hierarchy, he can do something. He can turn this team around. You'd like to think so. Like, there's a reason why United brought him in, and he's not obviously a stupid coach. Like, I'm coming on you criticising his tactics, but Ten Hag knows a lot more than what I do about football. There's no doubt about that. But what worries me is if we keep him, and then we're in this same position now come sort of November, December, where United are playing the same way, we're still not seeing results, and you're saying to yourselves, oh, I wish we got a fresh start in the summer. But obviously, if we bring in a new manager now, the same thing could happen. Hindsight is always wonderful, and it's why I'm glad I'm not making the decisions at United right now. Whatever the outcome of Saturday is, though, Sir Jim and Ineos have a huge decision to make now, because it does really define now the next couple of seasons at United. It's absolutely make or break. So United now, it's just big things happening. We're going to have to just wait and see. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Are you Ten Hag in or out? As always, guys, please drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new around here. Stay tuned for everything United. I'll see you in the next one.